Close your eyes now and let your body sink into the comfort of the surface beneath you. Let your breath find a slow, rhythmic pace, vivid and deep, like the gentle lapping of waves against a quiet shore. We are going on a journey together, not to a place of noise or haste, but to a realm where the clocks have stopped ticking and the world has held its breath for a very long time. We are traveling to the spaces left behind, the forgotten corners of our world where history sleeps under a blanket of dust and secrets are whispered only to the silence. Imagine, if you will, a house standing alone at the end of an overgrown lane. The trees have grown tall and wild around it, their branches weaving a canopy that filters the sunlight into dappled patterns of green and gold on the fading facade. Nature has begun to embrace this structure, pulling it gently back into the earth, with vines climbing the brickwork like verdant fingers seeking a hold. There is no sound here, no hum of traffic, no voices of passers-by. There is only the rustle of leaves in the wind and the distant call of a bird echoing in the stillness. This is a time capsule house, a place where the door was locked one ordinary day and never opened again. Inside, the air is cool and still, preserved like a memory in amber. It is a space where the present moment cannot enter, where the rush of the modern world fades away, leaving only the heavy, quiet weight of the past. Let us drift, ghost-like and weightless, through the solid oak door, passing through the threshold into the dim, hushed hallway beyond. The first thing you notice is the smell, not unpleasant, but distinct. It is the scent of old paper, of dry wood, of fabric that has not been touched in decades. It is the scent of time itself, sweet and musky, settling deep into the carpets and the wallpaper. As your eyes adjust to the shadows, you see that nothing has been taken. Nothing has been disturbed. A coat still hangs on the rack by the door, a wool trench coat, its shape slightly stiff with age, waiting for shoulders that will never wear it again. A pair of muddy boots sits beside it, dried earth crumbling around the soles, as if the owner had just stepped inside from a rainy afternoon walk, 30, 40, perhaps 50 years ago. There is a profound melancholy in these objects, simple, everyday items that have become monuments to a vanished life. Move slowly into the living room, where the light fights its way through heavy velvet curtains, casting long, dusty beams across the floor. In these shafts of light, millions of tiny dust motes dance, swirling in slow motion, the only movement in a room frozen in stasis. The furniture is heavy and ornate, deep armchairs upholstered in floral patterns that have faded from vibrant reds to soft, dusty pinks. A newspaper lies open on the coffee table, the date yellowed and brittle. The headlines speak of a world that no longer exists, of politics and events that have long since been resolved or forgotten. Yet here, on this table, they are still breaking news, forever current in this suspended reality. Beside the newspaper, a ceramic cup sits on a coaster. A dark ring stains the bottom, the evaporated remains of tea or coffee, a drink poured by a hand that was warm and living, a drink that was sipped and then set down, never to be finished. It is these small interruptions that are the most haunting. The half-read book placed face down on the arm of the sofa, the reading glasses folded on the side table, the knitting needles left mid-stitch in a basket of yarn. They suggest a pause, a momentary break that stretched into eternity. Why did they leave? Why did they never return to finish that cup, to finish that chapter? The silence offers no answers, only the soft, heavy pressure of the mystery. There is a sense of intrusion here, even though we are only observing. We are walking through the private sanctuary of a stranger, viewing the intimacy of their daily existence without their permission. The grandfather's clock in the corner stands tall and imposing, its pendulum still, its hands frozen at 10 minutes past 4. Was it 4 in the afternoon? 4 in the morning? The time holds no meaning anymore. The silence of the clock is louder than its ticking ever was, a void in the soundscape that emphasizes the absolute stillness of the room. Let your gaze wander to the shelves lining the walls. They are filled with the artifacts of a personality. Porcelain figurines of shepherds and dancers, collected with care and arranged with precision, now staring out into the empty room with painted smiles. Framed photographs, the silver tarnished to a dull gray, capturing moments of joy from a century ago. A wedding portrait, a family picnic, a child holding a dog. The faces are smiling, full of life and future, unaware that they would eventually become merely ghosts in a frame, left behind in a house that the world forgot. We often think of our homes as permanent, as fortresses against time, but here we see how fragile that permanence really is. As we drift from the living room toward the dining area, the floorboards do not creak beneath us, for we are moving with the lightness of a dream. The dining table is a vast expanse of dark, polished wood, covered in a fine layer of gray dust, like a fresh snowfall. In the center, a crystal vase holds the skeletal remains of flowers, their petals long since turned to dust, their stems brittle and brown. It is a stark reminder of the biological clock that continued to tick even when the mechanical one stopped. The flowers wilted, the water evaporated, the decay happened slowly, day by day, in the silence of the empty house. A china cabinet stands against the wall, glass doors protecting stacks of plates and saucers. They are intricate, rimmed with gold leaf, waiting for a dinner party that will never happen. There is a sadness in their utility, objects designed to be used, to be handled, to hear the clatter of silverware and the hum of conversation. Now, they are merely sculptures, cold and untouched. The light catches the curve of a teacup, gleaming softly in the gloom, a small spark of beauty in the desolation. Walk further into the kitchen. This room, usually the heartbeat of a home, feels the most abandoned. The calendar on the wall displays a month from the 1970s, the days marked off with X's in blue ink until a specific date, after which the boxes remain blank. A pristine, empty future that never arrived. On the counter, a tin of bread, a jar of sugar, a box of matches, the mundane tools of survival. The refrigerator, a rounded, heavy appliance, hums no more. Its door is slightly ajar, revealing the darkness inside. There is something deeply disturbing about the suddenness of it all. Abandoned places usually show signs of struggle, of packing, of a slow decline, but time capsule houses are different. They are interruptions. It is as if the occupant simply evaporated. The dish towel is still draped over the handle of the oven. The bar of soap sits by the sink, dried and cracked, but still there. It creates a feeling of waiting. The house seems to be waiting for its people to come back, to unlock the door, to wind the clock, to finish the tea. It has been waiting for years, through the heat of summer and the frost of winter, holding its breath, preserving its contents with a loyalty that is both touching and tragic. As you stand in this silent kitchen, watching the dust mote swirl in a shaft of light that cuts through the grime of the window, you can almost hear the echoes of the past. The sound of a kettle boiling, the scrape of a chair against the linoleum, the soft murmur of a radio playing a song that hasn't been heard on the airwaves for generations. The energy of the lives lived here has imprinted itself on the walls, a psychic residue that lingers in the stagnant air. We are not here to judge or to disturb. We are here to witness, to acknowledge that these lives existed, to see the beauty in the decay. The peeling paint on the ceiling curls like dried leaves, revealing layers of color beneath, a history of decoration, blue, then green, then cream. Each layer represents a different era, a different hope, a different version of the family that called this place home. The wallpaper, patterned with faded roses, is coming away at the seams, exposing the plaster and lath, the bones of the house. It is a slow, gentle unraveling. The house is returning to its elemental state, shedding the skin of human habitation, preparing to eventually merge back with the earth that surrounds it. But for now, it stands. A museum of the ordinary, a testament to the impermanence of all things. And as we linger here, in the quiet shadows of the kitchen, we feel a sense of peace settling over us. The anxiety of our own lives feels distant, unimportant in the face of such timeless stillness. The silence here is not empty. It is full of stories, full of memories, full of the deep, restful sleep of the forgotten. Let us pause here for a moment, in the soft gray light, breathing in the scent of the past, and respecting the solitude of this hidden world before we venture deeper into the secrets that lie upstairs, in the private chambers where the dreams of the past still linger. We turn away from the kitchen now, leaving behind the silent testimony of the peeling walls and the empty hearth, and we step into the hallway that leads to the heart of the home. Here, the air grows cooler, a stillness that feels heavier, more settled than in the rooms below. The floorboards beneath our feet are covered in a runner of Persian wool, the deep reds and indigos muted by a thick layer of gray dust, softening our footsteps until we move like ghosts ourselves. To our right, the staircase ascends, disappearing into the dimness of the upper floor. It is a grand structure, carved from dark, solid oak, the banister polished smooth by thousands of hands that once guided themselves up to rest or down to greet the day. As we place a hand upon the wood, we can almost feel the faint vibration of the house settling, a slow, rhythmic creaking that sounds like breathing. The house is alive in its own way, slumbering deeply, dreaming of the days when laughter and footsteps filled these voids. We begin the climb, one step at a time, moving slowly through the suspended atmosphere. The light from the lower windows does not reach here, and shadows cling to the corners, soft and velvety. On the wall accompanying us upward, there are squares of paler wallpaper, rectangular ghosts where photographs once hung. The frames are gone, taken perhaps in a hurry, or looted by time, leaving behind only the outline of memories. We can only wonder who looked out from those frames, whose smiles were captured in silver and glass, now lost to the anonymity of the past. Reaching the landing, the floorboards groan softly, a sound that echoes through the quiet upper chambers. This is the private sanctuary, the space where the public face of the family was dropped, where masks were removed, and where sleep claimed the inhabitants night after night. There is a row of doors, some standing ajar, others firmly shut, guarding the secrets within. We drift toward the first open door, drawn by a pale beam of light cutting through the gloom. It is the master bedroom. The air here is thick with the scent of cedar, old paper, and the faint, sweet musk of dried lavender. It is a scent that bypasses logic and speaks directly to memory, evoking a sense of comfort that stands in stark contrast to the abandonment before us. The room is dominated by a massive bed, its frame wrought from iron, standing like a fortress in the center of the space. The mattress is bare, the linen stripped away long ago, exposing the ticking stripe of the fabric beneath. But on the bedside table, the story of interruption begins to unfold. There is a pair of reading glasses, folded neatly, waiting for eyes that will never look through them again. Beside them, a book lies face down, its spine cracked, holding the place where the reader left off. It is a profound and melancholic intimacy to stumble upon the exact moment a life was paused. We are intruders here, yet we are also witnesses, keeping a vigil for the routine that was broken. We move deeper into the room, toward the vanity table that sits against the far wall. The mirror is clouded, desilvered by age, reflecting only a hazy, dreamlike version of the room behind us. Scattered across the surface are small artifacts of daily rituals. A silver hairbrush, bristles tangled with a few long strands of hair that have outlasted the head they grew upon. A glass bottle of perfume, the liquid evaporated, leaving only a dark, resinous residue at the bottom. If we were to unstopper it, the ghost of a floral scent would surely rise, a phantom of a summer garden from 50 years ago. A wardrobe stands in the corner, its doors slightly distinct from the frame, warped by the humidity of passing seasons. We approach it gently, pulling the handle. The hinges whine, a high, thin sound that pierces the silence. Inside, the darkness is absolute until our eyes adjust. Hanging there, shrouded in plastic garment bags that have yellowed and become brittle, are the clothes of the departed. Heavy wool coats, delicate silk blouses, suits tailored for occasions that have long since faded from history. They hang limp and heavy, retaining the shape of the shoulders that wore them, hollow forms waiting to be filled. There is something deeply moving about empty clothing. It emphasizes the absence of the body, the fragility of the human form compared to the endurance of the objects we create. These fabrics have survived, waiting in the dark, while the owners have returned to dust. We leave the wardrobe, closing the door with a soft click, sealing the darkness back inside. Moving to the window, we peer through the grime-streaked glass. Outside, the world has continued to turn. Trees have grown wild and tall, their branches scratching against the siding of the house, trying to reclaim the space. Vines creep around the frame, seeking entry, nature's slow, patient fingers pulling the house back into the earth. But in here, time has stopped. Turning back to the room, we notice a calendar hanging on the wall near the door, curling at the edges. The month is displayed, the dates marked off with a pencil, crosses through the days, counting down to something, a holiday, a birthday, or perhaps the departure that left this house silent. The crosses stop abruptly in the middle of the month. The rest of the days are blank, a future that was planned but never lived within these walls. It serves as a quiet reminder that we often believe we have endless time, that our plans are solid and certain, but the house knows differently. The house knows that sometimes the pen is set down and the rest of the page remains white. We step out of the master bedroom, back into the hallway. The silence rushes in to fill the space where our thoughts had been. There is another door further down the hall, this one painted a soft, chipping blue. It stands slightly ajar, just enough to reveal a sliver of darkness within. As we approach, the floorboards change pitch, higher and lighter here. We push the door open with a gentle pressure. This room feels different. The air is not just stale, it is charged with a different kind of energy. This was a room of imagination. It appears to be a study, or perhaps a hobby room. Shelves line the walls, sagging under the weight of books, stacks of magazines, and boxes labeled in fading cursive script. In the center of the room is a heavy wooden desk, cluttered with the debris of a busy mind. Papers are scattered across the surface, yellowed and brittle, covered in handwriting that loops and flows. We drift closer to the desk, careful not to disturb the dust that coats everything like a layer of gray snow. There is a typewriter, its keys still, waiting for fingers to strike the next letter. A ribbon of ink, dried and stiff, sits spooled within the machine. Next to it, a ceramic cup, stained with the dark ring of coffee that evaporated decades ago. It is in these small details that the disturbing nature of the time capsule reveals itself. It is not a horror of monsters or specters, but the eerie unsettlement of a sudden vanish. It is the feeling that the occupant simply stood up, walked out of the room, and never returned. The abruptness is palpable. It hangs in the air like a suspended cord, a note that was never resolved. We look at the papers on the desk. They are receipts, letters, sketches, the mundane debris of a life, a grocery list, milk, bread, tea, a reminder to call a doctor, a sketch of a bird on a branch. These fragments, so trivial in the moment of their creation, have now become sacred relics, the only surviving evidence of a specific Tuesday in a specific year, lost in the ocean of time. The light in this room is dimmer, filtered through heavy drapes that have been drawn shut. Dust motes dance in the single ray that manages to penetrate a tear in the fabric, swirling in slow, hypnotic circles. They look like tiny galaxies, turning in the void of the room. We watch them for a moment, mesmerized by their aimless drifting. They are composed of the house itself, bits of paper, fabric, wood, and the people who lived here. We are breathing in the past, taking a part of this story into ourselves. In the corner of the room, there is a trunk. It is locked, the brass fittings tarnished to a dull brown. What secrets lie inside? Old photographs, love letters, the toys of a child now grown old. We do not try to open it. Some secrets are meant to be kept by the house, held in the dark, safe from the prying eyes of the present. We respect the seal, the closure that the owners intended. As we stand in the center of the study, surrounded by the frozen echoes of thought and creativity, we feel a deep sense of calm wash over us. The anxiety of the unfinished, the worry over tasks not done, fades away here. In this house, nothing needs to be finished anymore. The deadlines have all passed. The urgency has evaporated. All that remains is the stillness, the quiet acceptance of things left undone. It is a restful place, despite the melancholy, a place where the pressure of existence has lifted, leaving only the peaceful equilibrium of dust and shadow. We linger here, letting the silence wrap around us like a heavy blanket, preparing ourselves to move to the final and perhaps most mysterious part of the house, the attic stairs that wait in the shadows of the hallway, leading up to the highest point of this forgotten world, where the deepest memories are stored. The wooden steps beneath our feet are narrow, steep, and worn smooth by the passage of decades. With each slow, deliberate step upward, the air changes around us. It becomes drier here, warmer, carrying the scent of cedar wood, aged paper, and the sweet, dry aroma of timber that has been baking in the sun for half a century. We ascend slowly, respecting the quiet, moving from the dim hallway into the golden haze of the attic, the mind of the house, where the memories that were too precious to discard, yet too heavy to carry daily, were brought to rest. We emerge into a vast, open space beneath the rafters. The ceiling slopes sharply, meeting the floor in the dusty corners, creating triangular pockets of deep shadow. Here, the light is different. It does not flood in through large windows, but rather filters through the slats of a dormer vent and a single, small, circular window at the far end. The light catches the dust motes dancing in the air, swirling in slow, hypnotic columns, millions of tiny particles suspended in the stillness, turning and drifting in a silent ballet that has been performing for years, with no audience until now. Watching them, we feel our own breathing slow down, matching the languid pace of the floating dust. The attic is a landscape of shapes draped in white. Old furniture, retired from the rooms below, sits slumbering under heavy canvas sheets. To the eye, they look like soft, white hills, or clouds brought indoors and frozen in place. A tall wardrobe stands against the chimney breast, its doors slightly ajar, revealing nothing but darkness within. It is not a frightening darkness, but a restful one. It is the darkness of a closed eye, the darkness of sleep. We move deeper into the room, our footsteps muffled by the layer of dust that coats the floorboards like gray velvet. There are trunks here, bound in leather and brass, their locks tarnished to a dull matte finish. We do not need to open them to know what they hold. They hold the seasons of the past, winter coats with heavy wool, quilts stitched by hands long gone, letters tied with ribbon that has faded from blue to ivory. These are the archives of a life, packed away not to be hidden, but to be saved. There is a profound sense of safety here. These things have completed their journey. They are no longer required to be useful, to be worn, to be read, or to be displayed. They simply exist. In the center of the room, a dress form stands, an elegant silhouette of wire and fabric. It wears a garment from another era, the silk shattering slightly with age, but retaining its dignity. It stands like a silent guardian of this domain, watching over the boxes and the books, the broken chairs and the gilded frames. There is no sadness in this scene, only a gentle resignation. The house holds these things so that the world doesn't have to. It carries the weight of memory so that we can be light. We walk to the small circular window at the far end of the attic. The glass is wavy, distorted by time and gravity, bubbling slightly at the bottom. Through the grime and the spider webs, we look out. From this height, the world below seems distant, detached. We see the tops of the overgrown trees, the tangle of vines that have swallowed the garden path, the roof of the porch stretching out beneath us. The world outside continues to turn. The wind blows, the seasons change. But inside this glass, inside this timber shell, time has stopped. It is a sanctuary of stasis. And standing here, surrounded by the suspended past, we realize that we too can pause. We can step out of the rushing river of time and pull ourselves onto the bank. We can be like the dust motes, drifting without direction, without purpose, simply being held by the air. The disturbing nature of the abandonment, the questions of why they left or where they went, no longer matter. The narrative has ended, the book is closed, and in that ending there is peace. We turn back toward the stairs, taking one last look at the sleeping shapes under their canvas shrouds. We leave them to their rest. We descend the narrow steps, the wood groaning softly under our weight, a gentle sound, like a lullaby. We pass back through the hallway, past the open doors of the bedrooms with their made beds, past the study with its scattered papers. We move down the main staircase, gliding deeper into the cool shadows of the ground floor. The living room is exactly as we found it, waiting. The silence here is heavy, grounding. We walk to the front door, the heavy oak barrier between this capsule of time and the present day. We step across the threshold, moving from the cool, still air of the interior into the fresh, moving air of the outside world. We turn and close the door. It shuts with a solid, final click. The sound echoes for a moment, then fades into the rustling of the leaves. Standing on the porch, we look back at the house. The windows are dark, reflecting the sky. The secrets are sealed once more. The time capsule is closed. The house settles back into its slumber, content to be forgotten, content to be alone. It does not need us. It does not need to be fixed, or cleaned, or saved. It is complete in its abandonment. And as we walk away, down the overgrown path, pushing past the ferns and the tall grass, we feel a lightness in our own limbs. The heavy burden of doing, of achieving, has been left behind, locked behind that oak door. We carry with us only the stillness. The sun is beginning to dip lower in the sky, casting long, lazy shadows across the ground. The light is turning amber, soft and forgiving. The birds are quieting down, preparing for the evening. The world is winding down, just as the house has wound down. You are safe here, in the quiet aftermath of the journey. You have witnessed the stillness, and now you can claim it for yourself. Imagine your own mind as that attic, spacious, quiet, and dim. Any thoughts that arise are just old trunks, stored away in the corners, covered in soft sheets. You do not need to open them. You do not need to sort through them. They are safe where they are. You can let them sit in the shadows. Your body feels heavy, like the old furniture, settled and grounded. Your breathing is slow, like the drifting dust. The tension evaporates, rising up and away, leaving you empty and calm. The house stands behind you, a monument to rest. It sleeps in the woods, holding its history in the dark. And you drift further and further away, into your own deep relaxation. The path is soft beneath your feet. The air is cool on your skin. Everything is finished. Everything is done. There is nothing left to explore. There are no more doors to open. There is only the soft, enveloping comfort of the present moment. The quiet wraps around you, a protective blanket, warm and secure, drifting, floating, sinking deeper into the comfort of let go. The image of the house fades into the mist of your mind, leaving only a feeling of profound peace, silence, stillness, and sleep.